Hi, I'm Kathy Hester and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make one of my favorite flavors in a Ninja Creami creation. So London Fog tea is traditionally like an Earl Grey tea with vanilla syrup and steamed or frothed milk, and it's delicious. It's my favorite winter drink, and I'm even known to have it over ice in the summer. It's super easy to do. So you've got your pint, so we know we're going to make about 2 cups. So I'm going to use both vanilla extract and vanilla beans to give it that extra oomph. Today I'm going to use the Joy almond milk butter. So basically you mix this up and make your own almond milk out of it. You can use almond butter. You could make an extra rich homemade almond milk. So I would suggest doing twice the amount of almonds to water ratio that you usually use, just to get a little thicker, or even 1.5. You could also use oat cream for this, and it's delicious. The other thing you need is some brewed Earl Grey tea. And let's talk about that for a minute. I want you to brew your tea for 4 minutes. I want it to be very strong. I want you to use a good quality. And see, a good quality tea should make you kind of heady. You smell the bergamot, which is what makes Earl Grey tea Earl Grey. So I have 2 different ones here, and I'll show you a little bit. You can kind of see that this one's a little smaller pieces. The bigger pieces are nicer. And I'll show you the other one. And this one is Taylor's. The first one I showed you was my DECAF. This is awesome, kind of long-leafed, beautiful tea. All that length and everything really adds a lot of flavor. So why am I telling you about this tea? And why does it really matter? Well, here's the thing. It's the most important flavor in this pint. So you want to have a good tea. I had someone who used like tea bags of an inexpensive brand. That's a good way to put it. And the thing is usually that's tea crumbs. They're like crushed up. And you may have to use a lot more tea. I used about a tablespoon of tea, which is about 2 to 3 tea bags for a lot of tea. Usually I use about 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon for one kind of 4-cup pot of tea, but you could use that same amount to brew these 2 cups and let it be a little stronger. Beware of letting it brew much past the 4-minute mark, or it's going to start to get bitter, and that's not going to be pleasant. So because of the way we're going to do this, we are going to blend it. I wouldn't want to put already made almond milk or oat milk with this, because that's going to be too much liquid. I'm going to put about 2 cups of this in. So if I wanted to make this with oat cream, or maybe you have a special milk that you love to use, you could take that milk, heat it up on the stove with the tea leaves for 4 minutes, and then strain them out. This little Ninja smoothie bowl is about 2 cups. So then we're going to put about 2 tablespoons of this, and I think that's probably pretty darn close to about 2 tablespoons. And with the Joy, I mixed it up a little bit. I just opened it up. It's very fine, and I do like it for these mixes because it's just something I don't have to think about. But you can use regular almond butter or cashew butter, or like I said, you could use something entirely different. It's completely up to you. All right, so in here we've got nut butter of whatever kind. You could also use sunflower butter if you can't have nuts. Or again, you could steep the tea leaves in another milk. So I'm going to put about a teaspoon of your best vanilla extract. This is my best vanilla extract. And then I'm going to do, I think I'm going to actually do about 1/8 of a teaspoon of the powdered vanilla in there. And then I'm just going to blend it. Oh, I'm also going to put whatever sweetener. I'm going to do about a tablespoon of maple syrup. You could do date paste to make this whole food plant-based, no sugar. Again, you could brew this in oat milk or oat cream to then also make it whole food plant-based, no oil. Okay, and the most important part when you're making these creamy creations is that you taste the mixture, because you have just the perfect opportunity right now to fix things. Okay, so it's like nice and frothy and creamy. I'm going to, ooh, I'm trying to decide. I don't think it needs to be any sweeter. I think I might add just a tiny bit more vanilla powder. And you need to remember your creations will be a little bit less sweet after they're frozen. So with me saying that in my head right now, I think I'm going to go ahead and put like another little splash of maple syrup in there. And then I'll just blend it up again. And I just needed a little short blend for that. If you're not using the nut butters and you're using already made cream, obviously vegan, plant-based cream, then you can skip the blender altogether on this one. But I still would recommend a whisk to whisk these delicious flavors together, so you're not kind of having a layer of tea, a layer of non-dairy milk. Okay, so this one's just a little bit over, so I'm going to make sure that's about right. That can be the beginning of my breakfast drink tomorrow. So I'm going to take a lid, going to put it on, label it, put it in the freezer flat, make sure that it's on a nice flat surface. Then in 24 hours, we'll spin it into a delicious breakfast smoothie bowl or dessert ice cream, whatever you want to call it. Hey everybody, it's been over 24 hours, in fact, a few 24 hours since I made the London fog. Enough time for me to wash this shirt and wear it again. So it's gotten some little snow and stuff on the top. I think it's been mishandled a little bit in the freezer, but let's talk about that for a second. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes if there's stuff on here, I will either eat it or I will just taste it. So we're just gonna see if, just like any other time, I'm just gonna scrape some of this down and make it level. It was pretty much level anyhow. So what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to overthink all this. The Ninja Creami is actually pretty easy to use. It's pretty forgiving. You can't do a solid block of ice. If you're experimenting with something, maybe a new recipe that might not have enough fat or things, like this has some of the Joy almond butter in it, so it has a little bit of whole food fat from that. Sometimes I get the fat in with, or the thickness with fiber of dates and different things like that, and all that's helpful. If you're using sugar, so like you can do lemonade, but you can't do like a monk fruit lemonade because then there's no sugar and no fat. So other than that, you're pretty safe. And again, with whole food plant-based, we're probably going to use a sorbet, a smoothie, or a light ice cream setting. Ninja has not come out and told us like what the rotations per second or millisecond are on all this. All we know are those three. The blade moves around faster and the rod comes down slower. So that means if you have a harder product like a sorbet, or light ice cream is really kind of created for keto people to use those artificial sweeteners like monk fruit, stevia, Splenda, and other things I don't know about. So it also is expecting a harder base. So just know that that's what we're going to be working with the most. Okay, so I'm just going to put the blade in. I'm going to push this, pull this up, drop this in, and it is going to wiggle. It's okay. I also tend to just drop this in and twist it. So if it wasn't in and you twist, it goes right in. Also, you can't put the lid on unless this is in securely. Go ahead, pop that on. And then we're just going to spin it up. If I turn this on now, it's going to say an install error. It just means that this is not installed to the top. So if you watch, that goes away and the buttons come on. And we are going to pick light ice cream. All right, so now we push this button and this is going to release. And let's take a look and see what it looks like. So this is also a good example of powdery. This is what people mean like when they're saying powdery. It looks kind of Dippin' Dots. And sometimes this can happen if the mixture's dry or if it's a whole food plant-based mix. There's nothing wrong with it at all. You didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. We're working with low fat, low sugar things. So I'm just going to take a spoon, make a hole, put a couple of tablespoons of cashew milk in it, and put it on respin. Just that simple. You don't even have to level off the top, though now is a good time to taste your yummy ice cream. So I'm going to put about 2 to 3 tablespoons, and you'll get used to how much you want to put. Start by putting less because you can't take it out, but you can put more in. You can always respin. It's not a fail if you respin more than once. You've not done anything wrong. Okay, so we'll put it back in here again. This time we're going to click the respin button, and you'll hear that it's not quite as fast, so it's expecting a softer product. we just repeat, holding the button, taking it down. And let's see what we have this time. Ooh, super creamy. Look how creamy that is. See how smooth and creamy it is? So I love a London fog in the morning, and there's nothing like this on a hot summer's day to cool you down and wake you up. You can use decaf, don't forget, or you could use an herbal tea instead if you wanted to. This is one of my favorites.